Hey there! I'm going to talk about whips and WIMs. I'm Cadence Kidwell, proprietress here at Fuzzy Goat in Thomasville, Georgia, and you can see all that I'm talking about at fuzzygoatyarns.com, and you can also text us at 229-236-GOAT. So first, let's talk about WIMs. Those are, I think I might have made this up, I'm not sure. Really, Mr. Fuzzy Goat made it up in my mind, but it's works in mind. It happened one day on a walk, and Mike said, we were getting ready to take a trip. He's like, do you have your WIMs with you? And I'm like, WIMs? What are WIMs? And he said, those are your works in mind. And I'm like, oh, that's perfect. That's different than a whip. I kind of think of it, if you use Ravelry, as your queue. Those are the works in the queue, although my queue is gigantic. So works in mind, they're a little more on deck, but they're not on the needles. So I've got two WIMs in mind right now, two works in mind. Plus I love that idea too, of just whim being, it's on a whim. I could leave it and nobody would care, right? Because I actually don't do a lot of promising of knitting. So I've got two WIMs right now. One is this Nordic Bloom. I'm gonna do the vest. It's by Caitlin Hunter. The sweater that I'm wearing is also by Caitlin Hunter. My friend Janet at String Theory has recently done the vest, and it's super encouraging for me to do that. And I'm sitting in front of our worsted cabinet because it uses a heavy worsted, which is an Aran weight. And so I'm going to use the Alpakka Ull, which I affectionately call the footballs. Those are all of those over there. Hey, Bev and Mary and Marlene and Patricia, thank you, and Mary Lou said the nicest thing about my sweater. So I'm going to use worsted, and I've been swatching for that. Let's see, did I bring my swatching set over here? I did not bring my swatching set because it's kind of ugly. Because, as I've told you, my gauge is all over the place. I'm a very loose knitter. This calls for a number 9 on a heavy worsted, and I'm going to use Alpakka Ull, which is feeling fantastic. I haven't actually knit with it before. It's one of our workhorse yarns. And it's more of a light worsted than a heavy worsted Aran. So my gauge is off, and I had to go way down on my needles. I tried doubling it up to see if that would work. Hi, Harriet. It was too thick. But I've been a good student, and I did my gauge just like she asked, in both flat, because there's parts that are going to be knit flat, then there's parts in the color work, and then and the color work is in the round, so I did my swatch in the round, and I just need to block it one more time because I did do the blocking in the round with just one color, but I went back last night and did 2 colors, and I think I've done the math enough to try to figure out how, even though my yarn is thinner, I'll be safe doing the larger size and it will come out one size smaller. That's my hope. That's what Melissa has and I have strategized on. So I'm going to do one color for the background, obviously, and then one color for these big flowers, and another color for the leaves and stuff like that. The alpaca is animal fiber, Rita, so it will have some bounce and stuff in it, so that's why it's really important for me to block that sweater, or block that swatch before, so that I've really figured all that out. Plus, this is also steeped, which is always an adrenaline rush and super fun. And when it means it's steeped, it's another opportunity for buttons, and I just love the buttons. I'm looking at our buttons over there. We've got great buttons online. We have sourced them from this really lovely British company that just has just the right sense of humor in their buttons without being too cute, but are really special. So I just love the buttons, and so I'll be looking for some big buttons for that. And I'm gonna do the vest. I'm a big fan of vests because it is warm here most of the time, and so I can still wear a vest, but when it's chilly, well, it's a vest, I'm gonna wear something underneath it, but I can adjust what I'm wearing underneath it and make it a little bit thicker. The other project that is a work in mind, I don't think either one of these I'm gonna be giving up on, so I do think they'll become whips. I always forget this. Woodland Cardigan. So I'm gonna do the Woodland Cardigan. Look at that fun motif across the bottom. There are charts for each one. See, there's a bear and there's a deer, there's a squirrel. Hey, Amy and Sue. So one of the things that Melissa and I are fond of saying around here is that we're squirreling because we get distracted. This sweater is one of them. It's on our back counter over there. We're always turning around and looking at it and going, hi, Renee. We always turn it around and looking at it. What are we going to do about this? Separately. Hello, Renee and Harriet. So we can't wait to do this. We've helped several of you already put together different colors. We did one the other day that was going to be this rich navy at the top using this Fino, and then the little critters at the bottom were going to be an Admiral. So look at those. We've also seen it the other way around where the top is lighter like it is in the picture. So we're having a lot of fun looking at all of those. This one is also steeped. You could do it as a pullover, you know, and just not do the piece up the middle. I haven't studied the pattern to see if that is mentioned as an option in the pattern, but there are several on Ravelry where they did not do that. Hi, Nancy. I'm so glad you found us too. So this is what I'm still interviewing colors for. And so lots of options of Fino, and some of the Fino is also in our twice a year sale, which is happening online and also back there, just past that yellow bag. Our bags are blocking the access to the sale, so I'm not able to show you that right now. We have this stunning, really deep navy, which is also called Admiral. A little confusing because these yarns I'm showing you over there, the yarn line is called Admiral. But look at this stunning, stunning red. I think Melissa is using this. This is called Cravat. And you could put that if you wanted something really dramatic with the Admiral. And online, this looks a little yellower. It's so hard to get the pictures just right, and the monitors change. But I've noticed some monitors show this a little yellower than the creamy ivory that it really is. That would be pretty either way. Or if you didn't want something as dramatic as that off-white, you could use this one here, which is Seance, which is a kind of lightish gray in there, and it is in the sale. And I love this merino wool blend, not superwash, so it kind of wants to stick to itself, which would be great for steeking. But it's 30% silk too, so it'll be really lovely to wear around here. I admire this tincture. This dark green would be really pretty with filigree as well. Put those two together. Oh, and look at this purple that had slipped down in here. The purple with the gray, or if you wanted something even sweeter, this pink here is also in the sale. Ball gown, really pretty. So I'm gonna, the person who was pairing the navy with the Admiral, here's the Admiral. The Admiral is not, is superwash. I'm just gonna use a double negative there, and the former English teacher in me was gonna jump up. This is merino, I'm sorry, this is wool and nylon. Let me find it here. Yes, it is superwash, but it will, it's not slippery. So I feel like you could still do a fine job of securing and steeking this. And hey, Barbara and Beth Ann and Melanie. And even though I've been emphasizing using non-superwash for steeking, it doesn't mean that you can't use superwash. It just makes it a little bit easier. My very first steeked sweater used a combo of 2 different superwash yarns at slightly different thicknesses, and it was a little bit, it's not very tidy in there. It's my Descent sweater. I'm super proud of that and love that sweater. But even then, which is where I would say steeking did not go as well as I had hoped, I was able to use needle and thread and sew the parts down, and it all stayed fine. This is, in this sweater, it's only going to be this bottom section here. I mean, you're going to steek the whole sweater, but the part where the 2 different colors happen and the cutting. Let's see if I can find a better picture here. Pictures are small, so it's hard to show you. Here's one at the back. So just the seam just keeps going across the back. But anyway, yes, Mary, I am brave, but you know, it's just knitting, and we can stitch it up, and we can secure it, and we can fix it. And then it was not pretty, and I put a ribbon over that inside part. I'll bring that back and show you that in more detail. So those are my two WIMs. I see now that they're both color work and they're both steeped. So, but both of these, I believe you could do as a pullover if you wanted and not cut up the middle. But one of the things I love is the reward after the steeking is the buttons, because I just, my mom was very elegant, and so she would say to me, "You're just gilding the lily." And so yes, that is what I'm doing. I am gilding the lily, absolutely. It's at Patty. Yes, this is the Misurina, and thank you for the compliment about the purple. So those are my two WIMs, and I've got two whips going on right now. The reason I probably am not starting on either one of my WIMs is I'm on Sleeve Island, and I'm afraid that if I get started on something more excited, I will abandon this. Not for long though, because I will love wearing it. All right, this lovely confection here is Dust Bunny. And let me just put it on here. So this is Dust Bunny, which is, I'll show you the picture of where we're going with this. And so I am now doing the sleeve, and I'm maybe halfway. I have to do that. Then of course I have to do the other sleeve. This is Dust Bunny. Isn't that, I mean, it is, and this is really just like a confection. It's just amazing. Let me show you the different yarns. Oops. You can use for these. Everything all laid out, and then so I'm using KnitWise, and these KnitWise brushed merino would be lovely. This is the one that I'm using here. This is Homosassa Sunset. That's what this lovely piece looks like, and I had a really hard time not choosing Isla Murata. That would give you a very similar effect to the one that's in the photograph there, yeah. And Tiffany, this color here, this Homosassa Sunset was LYS Day 23, I think, that Alicia dyed for us. This is LYS Day 25, so it would be super fun in this as well. I think Melissa's using this color for another project in a different base. And then this is Pink Peony, and that would look like the cotton candy piece that it is. So when I did this, you might be able to get by with one skein. I can't tell you that for sure yet. If you're petite, I feel like you could. I went ahead and did my collar. So I did the collar, which they have you do last, mostly because I was really curious to try it on, because the collar added the more of the depth in here, and I wanted to make sure how it was fitting. So I did the collar first. What I could have done, if I super wanted to make sure that I could do it, I still have this much left. It's a lace weight, actually, Nancy, but it's got a lot of fuzz to it. To make sure that I could, if I really want to do it in one ball, I would do what I did here. I would knit the body, go ahead and do my collar, and then weigh how much yarn I had left and divide that in half, and just, that's what I would use for my sleeves. So that's how you could do it in one ball if you wanted, because it has 656 yards in here. I can't tell you yet. I did not do that. I should have weighed my yarn before I started my sleeve. I did not do that, and I have already gotten my other ball, so I'm good on that. But I want to make sure if I can do it in one, that I let you guys know that, or how to do that. So this Dust Bunny is just going to be just the greatest thing to even throw over like a sleeveless shirt, because it weighs nothing. I mean, I wish you could, I mean, the needles, the small circular needle that I'm using in my sleeve weighs more than the whole thing. I mean, it's just like, oh, it's just so fun. But in the sleeve is not as much fun. And so I'm just trying to, hi Vicki and Kathy, trying to get through that part there. So that's my dust bunny in KnitWise, and that's what I want to say about that. Now I have something new I haven't shown you yet because we didn't get these yarns back in stock, and it was just a little bit of a nub. And you guys are gonna go like, this woman is insane. And I am. I am insane, I'll tell you that already. I am doing the Scout Mini Shawl. This is so much fun. This is slow knitting, slow fashion right here. Let me show you. But I don't mind. But I do have to have my wits about me when I'm doing it. This is the pattern. Show you what you're in for here. Let me show you another picture of it here. It reminds me of the quilts and things that my mom made. So here's the pattern. Here is the schematic, and each one of these is a chart. So yes, it takes some time and it's a little bit like expanding your brain, but that's good, right? That's good for all of us. So it comes with all of these different charts. So right now, let me show you where I am. Right, and I don't travel with this. I traveled with this to show it to you. This is how I put all the balls on my needle, and then I use one of the cable locks to hold it all together so that the balls don't get tangled while I'm traveling. There's a fair amount of time each knitting session untangling the yarns. I'm in the hardest section right now, in that I'm using one chart, it comes, and then I stop, and then I pick up with the other chart. Oh, I gotta pull that stitch back in. That's hard, but not really. It just means I work across here with my highlighter tape, and then I flip it here, and I work that row. So it really wasn't that hard. It was just a little bit of like, what? What's going on? I just love that I can tell you guys all about this and just have a second now to sit down and talk about this. I laid out, in typical fashion for me, I laid out all the colors I'm using, this is why we had to wait till we got some more in. I'm using Emma's theme pack, and I'm using the theme pack Happy Hour. I just love the colors and the fun in that. And then I have one skein of off-white from my stash that I've added in. Now I laid out all my colors ahead of time. And I thought, I'm gonna use this with this, and that's gonna contrast with this, and all of that. In fact, that's what kind of kept me from getting going, because I was a little worried. I mean, that took a lot of time and a lot of mental energy to do that. That all went out the window. As soon as I started, I didn't like this color with that color. So now I'm doing the exact opposite, and I'm just picking colors kind of as I go, hoping that it'll all work out at the end. I hope I don't end up at the other half of it, a bunch of colors that I don't like together. But there's really not a color in there that I don't like. And also, let me show you again. So this is where I am now. So I'm right in this section. So I'm almost halfway through, and then it's getting smaller on the way down. I know this does not contrast really well. Most of you are looking at that and going, that was a waste, I can't see the pattern. I can see it, and those two colors make me really happy. So I'm fine with that. So Lily, how am I using 5 colors at one time? At one point right now, I am using 6. But I'll show you in a second. Taking a cue from quilts and also how challenging this is, I thought I was going to do this. I don't know if you can see this one little green color with the off-white in there, and I got going, and I just didn't like it next to that one, so I switched to this green, and I just left that color in there. This is not one of those projects where I am fastidious and I am going to make sure that it is perfection, because I'm just proud of myself for doing it. So I've got a little bit of the other color in there, but you know, sometimes that's the way a quilt would be, and it would be repaired. And the same thing happened up in this section, and it kind of looks like a fade. I was using this lighter blue with the magenta, and I just didn't really like it, and I brought it in, and Carolina's like, oh no, you need to put that bright blue with the magenta. So that's what I did. And I just left that light blue in there because as you're doing it, each row seems like an occasion, and it's like, I'm not even backing out one row. All right, let me flip it over and show you what's happening. I did weave in my ends last night, so it's a little bit prettier to show you today. So it's it's Fair Isle and it's Intarsia. So I'm working with really 2 colors at a time, but there's 6 colors in a row. So there's a fair amount of juggling the yarn balls and moving them to the side. I have 1 each of blue that's on the edge. So this is a different blue than the other blue on either side. So I'm using a different, mostly not because, I'm sure I would have had enough yarn of one of the skeins to do the edge the whole way, but I was too lazy to divide it up, that skein up into 2 balls because they need to be separate for either side. And then when you get to the middle section right here or on your edging, you just twist the yarns and leave them behind. This section was a little easier because the white went through the whole way. I used the white on both sides. Up here now in my section, I am not. I am using the magenta and the blue and the green and the white. So leading me to having six different balls that lay out around me. So like I say, it is slow, but it is so satisfying. I cannot wait to have this, wear it, hang it in the shop where I can look at it all the time. Some of you will pick much better colors that contrast better. This is a little bit like one of those optical illusions, you know, I grew up mostly in the 70s, so my eyes are like really, you know, attuned to that. So you'll pick some other ones, or you can do something more neutral like the pattern has there. So don't be afraid. I just jumped in. I really didn't know a lot about what I was doing. I had a couple false starts. I think I might have gotten that far once and I didn't like it and I ripped it out and went again, but I always have false starts. And we have lots of theme packs to choose from right now. So I'm using Happy Hour, and another one I brought over that would be really fun is Slice of Sunshine, but we have some other ones that are much more subtle. Melissa just ordered one called Gemini that's a green and all of that. So Virginia, it is really interesting. It is not one that I do when my mind is completely exhausted, but you know, it's something that I like to do on a Friday night because I'm like, oh, this is gonna be my entertainment for the night. So anyway, I will definitely keep you posted, and now that we have those in stock, I can show them to you. And speaking of socks, since this is sock yarn, and also this Admiral is a sock yarn too. So if you were looking for solid colors for socks, this is great for that. We also got in, so speaking of Emma's and of socks, we put together our, brought back our Sock Love bundles that we put together with Emma's yarn. So the name of the shawl is the Scout Mini Shawl. Who asked me that one there? Deborah, yeah. So we put together Sock Love bundles. So with Emma's yarn of their Practically Perfect sock, we picked colors that are interesting, but not so wild that they would highlight or cover up the patterns in these socks. And we've paired it with the 52 Weeks of Sock book by Lane. So just beautiful socks in here. 52 different patterns. Look at that one there. That would be, and so you can see that that's got that that pattern right there, and it would still show up in this one here. This one is Dewdrop. And so you get all 3 of those yarns and the book. Look at that one there. You could use a little bit of a mini skein or a color. That's where I like to use a color that I just love from another sweater or a project. Little cables up there. So we have 2 different versions. We have volume 1, which comes with a set of blues. And then we have, they came out with 52 Weeks of Socks volume 2. Other just beautiful ones. Look at those. Oh, that would be like my scarf, except only 2 colors. Look at the cuff on that one there. Just really lovely. Oh! Try the scarf first, and then you could go into that one. And for volume 2, Melissa and Madeline chose some fall colors here with Cherry Merlot, Wish You Were Beer, and Golden Hour. So you get all three of these. Again, Golden Hour is interesting, but not so wild that it would cover up what might not show up in your socks. You want that pattern to show up in your socks. That's what I got to show you this morning. I am wearing Misurina. I knit this in Foxy Lady from Farmer's Daughter, and we have more of that coming in. It's a light fingering, but it would be stunning. All the ones we were talked about with Woodland Cardigan, you could use Fino for that, or you could do a more economical version in Admiral. Let's see, you can get like this color. These colors have numbers, they're not as much fun. This is 2805, and you could pair it with 0383. Put those two together and make a Misurina. So that's what I have for you today. Thank you so much for letting me talk about my whips and WIMs. And I'll bet you guys have even more pattern ideas that might end up in my WIMs as well. See you soon, and let us know how we can serve you.